Alright, we live.
Alright, Shalom.
Shalom.
Give us a second to check the feed.
Shalom. We go first.
Alright, Shalom.
Shalom.
Alright, this is brothers from Great Millstone coming back with another Lord willing lesson to edify the elect of the nation of Israel. And before we get started with this lesson, we want to give all honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'Shem, Yahushua, Ba'Shem, Kadash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone that taught us this truth and that rule well. And peace and salutation to the elect that's out here laboring all truth and sincerity. To you we say Shalom.
Shalom.
Alright, so pretty much in this lesson, as you see the title, we wanted to touch on this whole thing with the Babylonian money magic. And if you're not familiar with this is pretty much the system that Esau, Edom, and the so-called white man, or the elites, they have used to amass all the riches that you see that they have in the world today. All right, and this concept pretty much, you know, they took from the ancient Babylonians and were able to period through, you know, as we know, rape, robbery, and murder, and just pretty much. Okay, so in this lesson we're gonna kind of, you know, briefly, touch over and just go with money.
Can I get something right quick? Mm-hmm. This is Isaiah chapter 25 and verse 7. And he will destroy in this mountain the face of the covering cast over all people, and the veil that is spread over all nations.
And that's what happened. All right, Esau is being fully exposed, okay, through Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, man. All right, because all this information has been made privy to us through the Spirit, and we're bringing it out so that the masses, you know, specifically the nation of Israel, but really for all the world to know, you know, this man truly is the devil, man. All right, and he has gotten his riches through underhanded, left-hand means, man. You know, you got it, you want.
Get James 5.
Con.
This is James chapter 5, and I'm gonna get verse 1. It says, "Go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Your riches are corrupted, and your garments are moth-eaten. Your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire."
Right. It says that your riches are corrupted and your read that part again, Bible shop.
From the top, it says James 5 and 3, "Your gold and silver is cankered."
Verse 2.
Verse 2.
Con.
It says, "Your riches are corrupted, and your garments are moth-eaten." Verse 3, "Your gold and silver is cankered, and the rest of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. Ye have heaped treasure together for the last days."
Right. So these devils have pretty much accumulated all the world's riches unto themselves, but ultimately it's become a witness against them, because when you go into how these devils pretty much got all this wealth, like I said, it was through, you know, wicked means. Because when you go back to Meyer Amschel Bauer, who later changed his name to Rothschild, all right, he was taught the way to pretty much, you know, receive these riches by, you know, going and putting these other nations in debt, you know, and then giving them, you know, payouts to pretty much make them indebted to them, man. You know.
Can I read this?
In the mean, go ahead.
Now you finish the point. My bad.
You good. But in the means of, you know, doing that, these nations were put in a position where they were never able to pay off their interest and became, you know, subjects unto these damn Rothschilds, man, these elites. And doing so, they were able to do this all throughout the world, which is why they became the richest family known to man right now, which is the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers. They're all so-called 13 royal bloodlines, man. You got it, bro.
Okay. There's a quote from Silent Weapons for Secret Wars, and it says, "Mr. Rothschild had discovered that currency or deposit loan accounts had required appearance of power that could be used to induce people, in parentheses, inductance with people corresponding to a magnetic field, into surrendering their wealth in exchange for a promise of greater wealth, instead of real compensation. So pretty much, he pretty much, like you said, he studied the ancient Babylonians, and essentially he would give them FRNs, in exchange for their actual wealth, because around about the time of the 1970s, if I'm not mistaken, that's when the switch from the gold standard, to the FRN. But continuing on, it says they will put up real collateral in exchange for a loan or promissory notes. Mr. Rothschild found that he could issue more notes than he had backing for, so long as he had someone's stock of gold as a persuader to show his customers. So pretty much like in Habakkuk, the second chapter, talking about that heavy debt. He found out that essentially by having an economy of heavy debt, he pretty much can make himself rich.
Yeah, because what he did was go around the world and establish what we call usury. Okay, and through that usury, all right, he was able to pretty much, put all these nations in debt. Because when you go into the way that Esau, did this, all right, he would pretty much, cause instability in these different countries, and then come and offer aid in the means of them, pretty much getting that help. Matter of fact, speaking of that, get Sirach, I want to say 12. This should be like near the end of the chapter where it talks about in so many words, like if you're in trouble, you will find him there.
Could I back you over this right here too?
Go ahead.
Okay. It says Mr. Rothschild loaned his promissory notes to individuals and to governments. These would create overconfidence. Then he would make money scarce, tighten control on the system, and collect collateral through obligations of contracts. The cycle was then repeated. These pressures could be used to ignite a war. Then he would control the availability of currency to determine who would win the war. That government, which agreed to give him control over its economic system, got his support. Collection of debt was guaranteed by economic aid to the enemy of the debtor. It says the profit derived from the economic methodology made by Mr. Rothschild, all the more wealthy and all the more able to extend his wealth. He found that the public greed would allow currency to be printed by government or beyond the limits. Inflation of backing in precious metal or the production of goods and services, gross national product, GNP. Pretty much just going into your point, he found out that, if somebody wouldn't give him the support of their country, essentially he'll make them go to war, if they didn't have the money to pay him back.
God, just grabbing this real quick. That definition for corrupt, right? As brothers is going into how this system has been built on usury and debt, right, and enforcing these things upon these other nations. That word for corrupt says marked by immorality and perversion, depraved, right? So all these things. It also says venial or dishonest. So that's what we're seeing take place is a depraved, immoral, perverse, way of managing a system, man. Mm-hmm. Right? This wicked ruler, right, is pushing this across the entire globe, which is having adverse effects. Right? It was prosperous for them for a time, but now we're starting to see the degradation of society as a result.
I got something for that. Habakkuk 2:15. Woe to him that giveth his neighbor drink, that putteth thy bottle to him, and maketh him drunken also, that thou mayest look on their nakedness.
So they're giving them that wine, these philosophies, these ways of life, these different thought patterns, customs. They're giving these to these nations as a pseudo salvation, right? But then over time, you start to see that decay start to take place, man. That's why I said woe unto them, because it's you're destroying an entire nation right through your philosophies.
Right. Yeah, and doing so, like I said, he'll go to the countries that are pretty much destitute and offer them aid into getting out of that state, and pretty much now these nations, like you look at Africa, for example, how Esau pretty much went over there, drained them of their resources, and then it was like, well, look, we'll give you help, but then in order for you to be able to continue to get this aid, you gotta go with the things that we send you. That's, for example, this is why you have Kamala Harris over in the different countries. Like I think it was last year, pretty much telling them like, look, you need to accept the nasty agenda All right, the women's rights and different things, so-called democracy, but in accepting these things, you're demoralizing that country's culture, because we know that all these Western practices, they're not conducive to a country continuing to thrive, man. So when it came to them pretty much accepting that aid, they had to pretty much compromise their morals to continue to get that money. And if they didn't do that, then Esau would send what we know as economic hitmen in and take out those presidents, or cause a uprising, a coup, and pretty much make it to where some way these damn nations are going to submit. So this is why we said, man, Esau is what they have a term in the world called banksters, to where these elites, how they have strong armed their way into power, man. And for those that don't play ball with them, you either get taken out, or they pretty much put you in a position where you have to bow to them, man.
Even you see situations like what happened with Turkey in regards to that earthquake.
Right.
Right. They have all different type of means to make these nations, bow the knee to their will, man.
But then turn around, and they're right there to help them. We're gonna go back to that James in a minute, bro.
Come.
It's the book of Sirach, chapter 12 and verse 10. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness.
Right, and this is why the world is beginning to find out that the so-called white man is not your ally. All right, everybody is seeing this man for who he is, which is the devil the Bible speaks of, man. That word devil meaning deceiver.
Verse 11. Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him. And thou shalt be unto him as if thou hadst wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust hath not been altogether wiped away.
Right, because when you go into the history of the so-called white man and how his rise to power, came into play, all right, this man done many nefarious means to get himself in the position that he's in now. But since they've been in the power for so long, that history has been, wiped away, it's been hidden. But as we've been seeing as of late, it's coming back out, because he's doing the same practices that he was doing back then. Exactly. Because when you go into the different wars that we had, World War I, World War II, all right, even the smaller wars, the what happened in Iran, not like Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, different places. These are all based upon money, okay? Because they have a saying, all wars are bankers' wars, man. Because when the bankers need a situation to come up to where they can get money, what happens? They start a war. They start a problem, man. This has been the same playbook they've ran since the beginning, man.
Verse 13. Excuse me. Verse 12. Set him not by thee, lest when he hath overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place.
Right, and that's the MO. Always what happens, man, because he'll come in with the aid. All right, he'll say he's coming to help you, but then when it's all said and done, you're pretty much, pushed to the side, and now he's the one that's over you. That's always been the case every time somebody does business with the so-called white man.
Neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat.
Because he's always looking to overthrow and usurp you, man.
Right. Right. There's really that seat that he ultimately won back is that birthright.
That's it. And that's the reason why we see him doing everything. All right. This is what the whole New World Order is about, man. All right. Creating a one world government, a one world religion, and a one world currency, so that they can remain as the rulers of this world. Which the true New World Order is the kingdom of heaven. Because in the kingdom of heaven, that's what the Israelites are going to have, man. Right. All right. We're going to have control over all the riches. All right. All the people are going to be subjugated under the law of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. All right. And, everybody's going to be following, the way the Israelites established, man. Just as any other ruler that's ruled in times past. This is just Esau's current time. But what he has done to be able to obtain his power was through trickery, man. All right. The other nations, they were able just to go in and conquer, all right, through, modern warfare, all right, and take, one nation over, and it was a continual process. But the way Esau did it was, like I said, through witchcraft, man.
And thou at the last remember my words and be pricked therewith.
Right, so which is why we were given the the wisdom not to trust in this man, and the nations are starting to figure that out, man. This is why you having backdoor alliances and everything being formed because they now realize they're being beguiled, man. You know.
Verse 13. Who will pity a charmer that is bitten with the serpent, or any such as come nigh wild beasts?
Mm-hmm.
So one that goeth to a sinner and is defiled with him in his sins, who will pity?
Right. Because when you do the history and understand this man's working, all signs show you. So this man's not to be trusted. All right. So if you continue to go forward and do business with this man, knowing the history of what he's done, then that's your own fault, man.
Right.
You know.
Verse 15. For a while he will abide with thee, but if thou begin to fall, he will not tarry.
Mm-hmm.
An enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, but in his heart he imagineth how to throw thee into a pit.
And is that what we see him do throughout history? Is that not what he's doing now? All right. And he's telling you we're for world peace. We're looking to make the world a better place. But in all actuality, what he's doing is trying to make everybody slaves under him, man. Okay, and so this is what he has done, going to all these different countries in the means of help, in the disguise of help. But in all actuality, it's to implant him into that country, all right, undermine the people, get himself in a position where he's ruling over those people, and then he just expands his rulership from there. You want to hold real quick that Psalm 37, where it goes into how he spreads himself like a green bay tree.
Go ahead, get it now.
We're going to finish this out, and then we're going to get that.
Okay.
He will weep with his eyes, but if he find opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood.
Right, because we've seen it time and time again, man. All right, the situation with when Bush was in office, all right, with the whole World Trade Center thing, you know, the 9/11 thing, all right, the situation that happened over in Syria a few years back when they was trying to frame that president, make it seem like how he was, you know, destroying his people. All right, what happened in Haiti and all these. There's so many accounts that we can go into, but these were all done by the elites, man. All right, World War I and World War II, the whole thing with Hitler, they framed Hitler to be the boogeyman of the world during that time period. When you found out, the number one, Hitler was a fucking he was a Zion for the Rothschilds, man. That word Zion, S-C, matter of fact, look it up for me real quick. S-C-I-O-N. All right. He was related to the Rothschilds, man. You know, but they try to make it seem like he was, you know, a opposing force. You know, that he was just, you know, acting on his. No, that was all orchestrated, man, because they have a term called theater of war. All right, all things are organized by the elites, man.
It's the word scion in the Free Dictionary reads a descendant or heir, especially of a wealthy or prominent family.
Right. So when we actually do the research on Hitler was actually, I believe, the great grandson of, I forget which Rothschild it is. I can't remember off the top of my head, but you can do the research on your own and find that, just like all these other guys, the Clintons, the Bushes, you know, the Gates family, all these prominent guys, Klaus Schwab, all these guys are sons, or, you know, they're related to, in some way, the elites, man. So they weren't in that, they're not put into these positions of power for no reason, you know.
Continuing on. Sirach 12:17. If adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him there first.
Right, and that's just what we've been talking about, man. Because all these great events that have happened where it left these countries destitute, these elites were behind it. But they're the first ones to come out and offer these different nations aid, because it's to show the face to the rest of the world. And look, we care that we're actually trying to help you, but these nations refused to help at first, which is why they got to a point to where they got destroyed so bad to where they have no choice but to accept the help, which pushed them back. All right, which we go into that usury, man. All right, because when you realize how these elites, you know, these Amalekites, you know, use this power, it's all based upon them using the laws of the Israelites, man. Okay, and by doing so, they understand that usury was a major thing that the Israelites did, all right, but it was a particular way that we used it. Because number one, when it came to usury, we weren't allowed to use usury on other Israelites, but you can use usury on the heathen, okay? And so that's why the elites referred to the rest of the people as goyim, all right? because they look at the rest of the world as heathen because they believe themselves to be chosen people of the Most High, man.
Right.
You know.
Yep. Gotta get this word for you.
You got it.
So usury in the Free Dictionary reads a practice of lending money and charging the borrower interest, especially at an exorbitant or illegally high rate. An excessive or illegal high rate of interest charged on borrowed money. The point I wanted to get to, it said, pretty much, exorbitant or high, unlawful high amount of rate of interest.
Right.
Because they put you in a position where you can't possibly pay back what you've gotten back from them. Right. So now, what do you have to do? You have to give up resources. You have to give up people. You have to like I said, they will not be satisfied with blood, man, because they ultimately put you in these binding agreements, right, to completely overtake your countries, man.
Yeah, and you're stuck under their thumb pretty much forever.
Exactly.
Because the caveat to doing that, because the reason why I said that's in our law, because you could use that, but it was supposed to be a certain time period to where that debt is supposed to be forgiven, which is why in our law you have the year of Jubilee, the 7-year release, to where after every 7 years, all right, that debt is supposed to be forgiven. But the reason why these elites, are continuing to amass this great amount of wealth is because they don't utilize that, man. They continually add it on to where we're in today's time to where the average American is in debt millions of dollars, so much so to where you could make all the money you could possibly want to make and still never get out of that debt, man. Right. But that's by design. All right.
A lot of these companies that do things like I think it's called derivatives, right? So now they're pushing assets into other means to other countries, right? So your debt isn't their debt anymore. Your debt belongs to somebody else. So now there's a circle of collecting on each other's debt that you can't possibly pay, man.
Yeah, they sell your debt to another company, and after so much longer, that debt gets sold to somebody else. But the whole time they're selling the debts off, you're still accruing interest to where you're so behind. It's like I said, you're never going to be able to pay that back, man. You look at the U.S. debt clock. It's all these different forms of that debt, but it's all accruing interest by the second. You got to.
This is Proverbs 22 and verse 26. It says, "Be not thou one of them that strike hands, or of them that are sureties for debts. If thou hast nothing to pay, why shall he take away thy bed from under thee?" So pretty much that's how Esau get down. Like Esau make it. He bond these contracts and make it almost impossible. And then when you can't make a payment, he take your means of comfortability away from you. So that's why the scriptures say, not to get into these different contracts.
Exactly. Hey, he take your house, he take your family, right? He take the kids, man. Anything, man. He take the clothes off your back, right? Even if he knows that it's not going to be able to pay, he gets off on putting you in a destitute state, man.
And that's wicked. Because at the end of the day, as a true ruler, all right, you're supposed to take care of your people. And Esau doesn't give a damn about his subjects, man, which is why in Sirach, the 10th chapter, it talks about how he's an unjust ruler, man.
I had a little bit more. Sirach. Sirach chapter 12 and verse 17. For the top again, if adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him there first. And though he pretend to help thee, yet shall he undermine thee. Right? And in my Bible, for undermine, it says supplant. Right? Because what is Esau doing? He's creating all of these various means to pretty much bottleneck you into debt bondage, man.
That's right.
Right? As the scriptures speak about, if I may just grab right quick. This is Proverbs chapter 22 and verse 7. The rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender. Okay? So Esau is well aware of the dynamic that's associated to debt bondage and the power that's associated with it, which is why we see the lengths that he really goes to try to pretty much bottleneck you Israelites into debt. With we went into a lesson on this 2 years ago about the consumerism.
Yeah.
how Esau had consumerism down to a science.
Mm-hmm.
Esau had the debt down to a science.
Mm-hmm.
But all of this is to subject you under his will.
Right. Which is heavy witchcraft.
Exactly.
You got that.
This is an article entitled "The Impact of Ancient Babylonian Money Magic on Modern Economics." It reads, the ancient Babylonians believed that money and wealth were the result of magical forces. They believed that certain spells and rituals could be performed in order to bring about abundance, and this knowledge was passed down through generations. This knowledge was later adopted and adapted by the Khazarian Mafia, who rebranded themselves as the Knights Templar and the Rothschilds.
Right. You look up the Khazarian Empire, as we know, that's one of the names that the Edomites were going under, throughout their history, man, trying to hide their identity, man.
These powerful organizations used the knowledge of money magic to create an economic system that allowed them to amass vast amounts of wealth and power. By controlling the flow of money and controlling the supply of currency, they were able to manipulate the markets and create a system of debt and servitude that has allowed them to maintain their power and wealth.
Right. So,
Now I was gonna say, and you see this manipulation of the markets take place now more than ever. Right here it is. The economy is, quote unquote, the debt clock is sitting at 31 trillion. Right. You have $1 trillion of debt. There was an article that came out that said $1 trillion of debt is being added every 100 days. Right. But then when you go into the derivatives and all of those things that coincide with the money system, really the debt is at $200 trillion, roughly, So the manipulation of the markets is to try to suit whatever narrative that they're trying to use for their advancement and control over the masses of the people.
I got a word after.
Go ahead and get yours. Go ahead.
You go ahead, bro.
All right, this is Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 6. Shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his? How long? It says, how long, and to him that ladeth himself with thick clay.
Right, that taunting proverb is really coming by way of the prophets through the Holy Spirit, right? Pretty much showing you, look, how long can you really go with this system of debt, of a debt-based economy? Right, because that thick clay, when you go into that word in the Hebrew, and the Strong's Concordance goes into debt, okay? And that thick clay is weighing down on this country, man, to the point where it's getting pulled out of its dominance, it's getting pulled out of its superiority, right? Having that status in the world as the currency that's to be utilized throughout the world, right? People are looking at this currency that's being debased before their very eyes as worth nothing, man.
Right. Because how Esau was pretty much, did this with his money. All right, as Yawan made mention earlier about how Esau, through the Federal Reserve System, they did away with the gold standard and started to print out paper money. And when you do the research on, societies that implemented paper money was always pretty much used as a means to an end. Okay, so paper money was always established to pretty much, to crash in so many words. So when Esau did that, when you go into the Babylonian money magic, those Babylonians pretty much would do like spells and rituals to pretty much make money, be created out of thin air. And essentially what the Federal Reserve do, all right, print all these paper dollars out, all right, which has no value. All right, the only value that this shit still has is the value of the people's belief in it. Okay, but this ultimately is no value in the paper money. So Esau, went that route because he knew eventually that this system was going to blow up on itself, man. So, which is why you see everything going digital, because that was always the plan to implement the New World Order through the RFID chip. So what we're seeing, the transition from paper money to digital money, all right, that was always in the works from the very beginning. Okay, but Esau was able to supplant the minds of the people, all right, with that belief that this paper money was always going to be the go-to. But when you always look at history, money has always transitioned. Okay, because when you go throughout, history, you see you have what they used to call back then a barter system. All right, well, you have goods that I want, and you have something I want, so we would trade, you know. But what happened was these elites, pretty much, you know, when they got wind, you know, of this practice, they began to, you know, put interest on the certain things that they had, you know, they had. So somebody else wanted to say, example, if you had, you know, salt, I knew you had salt. I wanted your salt, so I had bread, and you know you wanted my bread. I could then, you know, hike up my price for my bread for your salt because I know you're more in need of that than I am for you. And so through that, they were able to implement this throughout the church and different things, which is why, you know, everything eventually came into, you know, falling into subjection, you know, under these elites, man. You know, for lack of better words, if I explain that, you know, clearly.
Because just laying back off that point, Priest. What Esau is doing right now, but what they're doing right now is saying, look, my salt is worth 2 of your loaves of bread.
Exactly.
And to protect you from me, you have to pay, or you have to take on my salt as two loaves of bread.
Exactly.
And now you have to sell my, you can only use my salt as bartering for your bread now.
Yep.
So whoever wants bread from you has to get salt from me.
Bully ball, bro. That's all this is, bro. You got it up.
I had to just land back and got the definition of magic. It says the art of producing illusions by sleight of hand. That's essentially what the promissory note says, you know, because it's not actual wealth. You know, it's ultimately derived off of debt. But then I got that word for market because in Hebrew it's makar, and it says the ma is mayam, which is mighty. You got the ka, which is kap, that's the palm, and then you got the ra, which is ra'ash, and that goes into man. It says mighty palm of man. No, so essentially what Esau does is he gets this, and he gets the capitalism. You know, so when you go into capitalism, capital definition, it says persons holding capital, which is a gain or advantage. So when you look at the market, you know, ultimately he'll swing the market to where he has the mighty palm of man, you know. So ultimately the one that has the mighty palm of man is the man in power. You know, so he swings it into his favor. That's why with the stocks and bonds, he'll swing it to different people, you know, in order to pretty much stimulate or to do things to the economy, you know, to make himself the one that's advantageous, you know.
Right. But see, when Jake gets into this, into, you know, coming into money, they don't understand the dynamics of what all this shit really is, you know. And that made me think about Andrew Tate. He had said something, you know, a couple of years ago when they asked him pretty much how he became rich. And he said pretty much, once you understand how money works, he said it's easy to become rich, man. Yeah. Because none of this shit is real, you know? Mm-hmm. And so at the end of the day, when you start seeing these different things, this is why we tell Jay, like the scripture tell you, strive not to become rich. Because this money is corruptible riches, man. It's not true money. Because when you go into what true money is, all right, can you get that? It's where it talks about how Abraham was a rich man. He was rich in like cattle and all that. It should be Genesis. But true riches is substance. You know, it's not FRN. You know, so these elites, they know that. This is why they're going throughout the world buying up everything, man. Bill Gates is buying up farmland. All right, these nations, that's like these elites, they're buying up countries, you know, islands and things like that, you know, because they understand that's true riches, man. They don't give a damn about no fucking bank account, you know, no money phone, all that. That's chump change compared to what these elites truly have, man.
The resources. That's why they have, you know, militias going through the Amazon rainforest, right? Because they want control over those resources. That's why you saw all the countries rushing into, what was it, Ghana or somewhere in Africa when they found out that gold a few years ago.
Yeah.
Like they want to hoard all these resources unto themselves because they know that's where the true value is, man.
Yep. Real quick, this is 1 Timothy chapter 16. That's like 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 17. It says, command those who are rich in this present age not to be haughty, nor to trust in uncertain riches, but in the living God who giveth us richly all things to enjoy. Okay? And this is the message to our people. All right? Don't try to be rich in this society because it's not going to benefit you none. Because number one, the money's not real. And then when you go into what you have to do to accumulate these riches, it's not worth it. You have to sell your soul, man. All right, you have to do nefarious means to be able to get this money. And like I said, it's fleeting at the end of the day, man. You know, rich is profit not in the day of wrath, man. All right, so the Lord is going to destroy this, you know, this current system and all those that are on high, man. All right, so it doesn't profit you to be rich in this time, man. Okay, because and like I said, the main reason why it doesn't profit you because that's not real riches, man. Because Esau don't allow you to you know amass real wealth. You know, that's why they give Jake a black card. You know, that credit card with no limit. But what you have in that black card, you can't just go buy what you want. All right. A good example that you had that nigga 21 Savage, you know, a few years back. All right. The real reason why he got exposed for being a so-called Briton, all right, because what he was doing in Atlanta was he was trying to, you know, buy land and do stuff to help his people. All right. And then when Esau found out about that, all right, they was like, nah, nigga, you doing too much. And that's why they started, you know, doing things to tarnish his image, you know. But you as a Jake, you can't do things to forward your people, okay, with this money because it's not advantageous to the elites, man. Because they understand if you allow Jake to start, you know, pretty much grow with the economy on their own means, eventually we're going to overtake them, which is why they did things like destroy Black Wall Street and the different version of Black Wall Street, because Tulsa, Oklahoma was not the only version of that, man. All right?
Any resemblance of community, quote unquote community of Israelites coming together and really standing on their own and not looking to Esau, because the scriptures speak about that being a curse unto us.
Yes.
How we would have to go to our enemies for the one of all things. So whenever Esau saw that we were starting to step outside of that realm, that's when he would come down with that hammer.
Right.
And the money system is no different for you niggas that are so adamant to try and establish your own wealth. That's not gonna happen, man.
Right. I saw a quote earlier today. It said, "Poor people use money to buy food. The middle class use money to pay bills. The rich use other people's money."
Yes.
Come on now.
So that's it. You know, they understand, like you say, Andrew Tate. They understand that the system is all debt, right? Mm-hmm. So they don't need any. Like they can take in all the cash or whatever because it's not theirs. They know it's not real. They know they're using it on goods that aren't going to profit them at the end of the day. But that's how they stay rich is because they're just taking in loans and they're getting finance for whatever projects. Right? They don't have any actual resources.
Mm-hmm. You know, like I said, when you go into what real riches are, it's substance, man. You know, you get that real quick.
This is Genesis chapter 13 and verse 2. And Abraham, was very rich in cattle and silver and in gold.
Substance. Okay? And through that substance, you could make money off of those resources, man. All right? You could sell the meat from the animals. You could sell, like I said, the milk, stuff like that. All right? You could flip the resources in your favor. All right? You can't do shit with paper money. It's limited. It has zero value. All right, which is you made mention earlier about pretty much the world operating off of that currency. The petrodollar is really what made America great. And as we're seeing, these different countries are doing away with the petrodollar. This is what's putting America at risk, and which is why if you follow the money. Everybody that's into the economy can see that war is inevitable, man. Because that's always the route that this goes when the situation gets like this, man.
I can get that for you real quick. Mm-hmm. This just jumping down in that article. It says the connection between ancient Babylonian money magic and oil magic goes back to the origins of the petrodollar. The petrodollar is a system of currency manipulation and financial control that was created by the United States in the early 20th century. The idea was to create a global currency system based on the U.S. dollar, which would be backed by oil reserves. This would allow the U.S. to export its currency around the world and use the money to purchase oil at a cheaper rate. To do this, the U.S. implemented various measures such as controlling the price of oil, creating a global network of oil producers, and influencing international banks to accept the U.S. dollar as the main currency for international transactions. This allowed the U.S. to control the global oil market and establish itself as the primary provider of oil. And we see that that 50-year agreement came to an end not too long ago between the U.S. and Saudi Arabia.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. They see that. I can just add to you to show you. This is talking about the so-called white man. All right, this is one of his blessings that he was given from the Most High, really through Isaac. This is Genesis 27:38. And Esau said unto his father, "Hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father." And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, "Behold, thy thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above. And by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brothers. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke off from thy neck." Now, when you go into this word, the fatness of the earth, just to show you how the brother made mention about the oil. All right, the word fatness is Strong's H4924. It says oil. Okay, so Esau was blessed with that oil, and that's why he was able to pretty much utilize, that to make him, the riches that he has today, man.
Right.
All right.
Because you've seen that post World War II, right? They're coming off the high of the dropping the nukes on Japan, and then they have the oil fields out in America,
Yep.
right? So then once they realized that oil was starting to run dry, then they make deals with other nations, through strong arming them right into these different agreements. Right?
Yeah, like good to add on to your point. A good example of that is the whole reason why 9/11 happened. All right, because they said that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction, but then when you really go into why that war happened, it's because that land over there in Iraq and Afghanistan, all right, was heavy in oil and also the poppy seeds, and so that was their justification for going over there and taking all that those resources, man, and just using Saddam Hussein as the boogeyman. That's one of the tactics that Esau does, is set somebody up to be the boogeyman and uses his media to manipulate the minds of the people into thinking that this man is a tyrant, man. All right, Saddam Hussein was actually trying to take care of his people, just as Muammar Gaddafi and actually Hitler. We're speaking about Hitler, but Hitler, he actually didn't want to go to war, okay, but they forced his hand, all right, which is why that happened like that. But also what they're doing with Putin, Esau will use his media, which goes back to Medea, which is witchcraft, to pretty much paint the picture of how he wants the people to think of what he's doing to justify it, man.
Right. Just if I may add to your point about that media, that left hand witchcraft, you had not a Jew. He came to DC to kind of discuss the state of what's going on in Gaza. Of course, the onslaught of Joe Biden being removed from the seat of the Democratic nominee, and then Kamala Harris stepping in, and he plans to meet with Donald Trump. But they've pretty much removed him from having any type of offenses as far as his responsibility in the conflict that's occurring in Gaza. It's more so just it's a retaliation. You punched me, so I had to punch you back. But just adding to your point of the power of media is so strong that Esau can literally rewrite things before the people's eyes to try to get across his own points that he needs to do.
Well, it shows you that that's straight up witchcraft, just like the money system, man.
Mm-hmm.
This man has heavy enchantments in him. You want to say something, bro?
I'm gonna get a quick one if I can.
Go ahead.
So Nahum chapter 3 and verse 4 says, "Because of the multitude of the whoredoms of the well-favored harlot, the mistress of witchcrafts, that selleth nations through her whoredoms and families through her witchcrafts." So even with the nuclear family, through Esau's system by using the witchcraft and stuff like that, he's broken up families. But then also with the money system, with his media, with his school system, this whole thing is built off of witchcraft. I want to get this word for mistress. It says sorceress, necromancer. Necromancer. Then also it says female owner. So pretty much how a man owner would be a master. It's pretty much like I'm saying a female master, so to speak. The scriptures call America Babylon the Great. It says the lady, calls her a lady. So essentially, she this place is pretty much founded in witchcraft, you know, for lack of better words, you know.
Yeah, because when you look at how the elites use America, all right, America pretty much is pimped out, all right, and these elites, because if y'all know what the scripture talks about, you know, the three unclean spirits that came out. If you can get that real quick, because the elites will use Babylon, all right, to pretty much be the muscle to go and do the deeds that they need to get done to accomplish their goal, man. You know.
Right. So Revelation 16:13, and I saw three unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon.
Right, and the three unclean spirits goes into the three pretty much mainstays of Esau, which you have DC, all right, which is pretty much the military for Babylon. All right, you have the Vatican, which is the mainstay for the religion of Babylon, and then you have England or London, which is the World Bank, all right, for the currency. All right, so those are the three unclean spirits that came out of the dragon, which you know being the Babylon, man.
Yeah. And I saw three unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophets.
Right, out of the mouth of the false prophet, you know that's the Vatican, man. All right, and pretty much, you know, Esau was able to influence the world to paint himself as being that angel of light, okay, through, as we said earlier, his media. All right, they're able to make himself seem like he's this saint that's just going out throughout the earth and trying to help everybody. But when you do the digging, as you started listening out with the scripture about how Esau's being exposed, that's exactly what's happening, man. You're being shown to be the opposite of who you portray yourself to be, man. You are the problem of all the world, because when you look up all the problems that goes on in the world, they all point back to you, the devil. All right.
If I can, real quick, that Nahum 3 and 4 in the NLT, it says, all this because Nineveh, the beautiful and faithless city, mistress of deadly charms, enticed the nations with her beauty. She taught them all her magic, enchanting people everywhere. So this whole philosophy, this whole system was spread throughout the earth as an enchantment, man, right? For people to believe on the strength of Babylon the Great. And now, as they see it start to collapse, right? People are they're running away. They can't get rid of dollars fast enough, man, right? Because all the infrastructure that is built on the earth was funded through American dollars, man. That's why you see banks collapsing in China, right? That's why you see Venezuela, like their dollar collapse. All these things are a result of that enchantment that they put, you know, on the entire earth, man.
Right, and the world's waking up to that now, man. This is why, like you said, this is why these countries are dumping those dollars, man, because they see how worthless it is, man.
Oh, I get this real quick. This is an article. This came out in 2022. It says off of Von Gert's Gold. It says $2 quadrillion debt is precariously resting on $2 trillion of gold. It says, jumping down to the point, there's obviously debt creation, money printing, and the resulting currency debasement, which creates the inevitable fall of yet another monetary system. This has been the norm throughout history. So the more it changes, the more it stays the same. So as we see, through Babylon, through Rome, through Greece, through up to America, man, all these practices have been rehashed over and over again. And like the scripture said, you know, there's nothing new under the sun, man. Jumping down, because it speaks on, it says in a bankrupt global system, you reach a point when the value of printed money dies, and whatever a leader promises can no longer be bought with fake money, which will always have zero intrinsic value. You know, and that word intrinsic pretty much goes into the value that the people give it, man. Right? So if the people don't believe in it, then it has no value. And the only thing protecting American money was oil. And now it's the military, and we see the military is in shambles right now, man. You know? Continuing on, it says debt bondage. History has dealt with punishment of non-payment of debt in a variety of ways. In the early Roman Republic, there was a debt bondage called nexium. In simple terms, a borrower pledged his person as collateral. if he did not pay the debt, he was enslaved, often for an undetermined period.
And that's not what we see going on today. All right. Hey, if you can't pay off, the so-called help that Esau was giving you, are you not indebted to him pretty much forever? Because one thing when it comes to dealing with Esau, once you pretty much are indebted to him, it's damn near impossible to get out of that, man.
Right. Continuing on, it says, jumping quickly to modern times, it would mean that the majority of people, especially in the West, would all be debt slaves today. The big difference today is that most people are debt slaves, but they have physical freedom.
Right.
Since virtually no,
and that's where we get the term contemporary slavery. Because you'll have our people that will try to refute when we come out and say we are yet this day in bondage, subject unto payments, as the scriptures tell us, right? When you go into contemporary slavery, neo-slavery, modern slavery, debt bondage is one of those major points that modern slavery is fortified in, man. Right? Because you have this appearance that everything is okay, but you're a debt slave.
Right. And there's a quote, just to add to what you said, by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. It said, the best slave is the one who thinks he's free.
And niggas swear they free, up and down. Niggas is running to these polls, acting like change is gonna happen at the hand of Kamala Harris. She's a fucking puppet, man.
Exactly.
Grow up.
Right. And she ain't your people either. I want to go into that a little bit more. So that's another quote from him, same person. None are so helplessly enslaved as those who falsely believe they are free. The truth has been kept from the depth of their minds by masters who rule them with lies. They feed them on falsehoods till wrong look like right in their eyes.
Right, and that kind of makes me think about that video you put in the chat with Carlos' brother. And he was like saying, like, I wonder, what people would think if they figured out everything that they thought was important wasn't.
Exactly.
Because they weaponized this aspect of the rat race to make you think that what's important is really not as important as it is, man. This money and all this shit is fickle, man. This is nothing more than a game to have you thinking that you have the wits and wherewithal to escape a system and better yourself and all of that madness to eventually level up and have a peaceful life. Look, we are in captivity. Ain't shit gonna change, man.
Right.
They set up this system, this modern system that was birthed out of chattel slavery to create you people to think that you have freedom that you truly don't possess, man.
Yeah. Go ahead, Doc.
This is Proverbs 23:5. It says, wilt thou set thine eyes upon that which is not? For riches certainly make themselves wings. They fly away as an eagle toward heaven. So, just land backing off your point, essentially, we're not supposed to set our mind on these carnal riches. We should more so be concerned with the spiritual riches, because the scripture say in Isaiah 33:6, wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times,
Right. If I may add to you right quick too, bro. I was just I was looking through some old stuff as far as some like old posts I had on Instagram, and I had saw this post. It was like, man, if I'm not making money, I'm not in a good mood. Now that's an emotion that I don't have any longer, but that's an emotion that a lot of Jakes they feel.
They still have that, and it's major.
Yeah, like you don't have if you're not making that money, if you don't have anything going, financially, Jake be fucked up.
Which is why you had a couple weeks ago that faggot nigga Anton Daniels trying to blast the Israelites talking about y'all broke. Anytime you have Jake that want to insult somebody that's got a little something, you're like, you broke.
Right.
Because it's because of that. Like, nigga, you don't understand that these riches ain't shit.
Right.
Like,
they gonna fly away.
The nigga we were just talking about on Wednesday that said that stupid shit. Like, bro, money don't mean shit. And when you use that as a caveat to bring self-value, that show you, nigga, you ain't nobody.
Yeah.
Because true riches, like the brother said, is number one, the fear of the Lord.
Yep.
All right, and then through the fear of the Lord is you get the wisdom and knowledge and understanding, man. That's true riches, which ultimately goes into substance, but it all starts with the fear of the Lord, though, man.
Yep.
You know, and this is why until Jake figure that out, it's gonna be a monotonous rat race to your death, man. Because you can have all the money in the world, and look, niggas are still unhappy because that's not the end all be all.
Still more.
It's Proverbs 23:5 in the David Guzik commentary says, though working hard is a mark of wisdom, we don't live for the riches that may come from that work. Those riches are too vulnerable and temporary to be a worthy focus of our life.
Because you here today, gone tomorrow. You come, curse to say you come in this world broke, you leave out this world broke. So you trying to spend your whole life to become rich, and in an instance, one bad decision, all gone, life ruined.
And we have numerous examples of Israelites that have accumulated a plethora of money, and they make one poor decision, and it upends all of the work that they've built over a course of 2 decades, 3 decades.
Hey, a good example out there just came to mind. I haven't read the article for it, but you had the NBA player Jeff Teague. He had made mention about how life after the NBA is depressing, and you have a lot of athletes. I'm starting to hear say that because while they were playing, they were millionaires. They had money, but the moment they entered their careers, that money's gone. Because they didn't understand what they had, and they didn't utilize the opportunities that they had when they had the money to be able to really make something of themselves.
Wow.
So that's why you have a lot of these athletes that's coming out about depression after their playing careers in whatever sport it was, because these athletes aren't taught financial literacy, which really ain't shit, but just the wisdom of knowing how to manage that money. Because you gotta, like I said, you gotta spend money to make money. But when you understand what true money is, it's pointless. Hey, the Lord's prayer literally says to give us our daily bread. Because Diddy said it best: the more money you have, the more problems you have, man. So it's better to be broke.
And they got hella problems, man.
Oh yeah.
But that all coincides with that Babylonian money magic. This whole system, this idea is to never allow you to get a foothold over the system.
But you also gotta realize too, when it comes to witchcraft, that shit always bites you in the back end.
Right.
Look what happened to Samuel.
Mm-hmm.
That you notice all these. I just noticed this.
Saul?
What was that?
You saying Saul?
Con.
No, it's not okay.
Yeah, because Saul, whenever he used that witch to conjure up the spirit of Samuel, what Samuel tell him? Like, look, later this day you're gonna be with me. So it never ends good when you dabble into witchcraft, because what's the penalty for witchcraft is death.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody that gets into that, it never works out for them, man. Well, for them at least.
It was somebody most recently. I think it was a lady. I think it was off of In Living Color or something like that. One of them shows in the '90s. But her grandma was like into all that shit. Yeah, and she was like, pretty much she won't go do it no more. She did it again. Her ass was in a box like a week later.
All messed up. They said the body was messed up, man. But at the end of the day, like I said, that's why our people shouldn't get into that shit, man. All right, what's the scripture? Exodus 22:18. Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. Okay, because the Lord strongly frowns upon witchcraft, as you just read, and that Nahum, what was that, 3 and 4?
Yep.
That's why Babylon is about to be judged the way she is, because she's the mother of witchcraft. She's the mother of harlots, man. And the Lord hates witches, man, and warlocks, man, because that power truly is supposed to come from the right hand side, man. But we see the left hand being magnified right now because that's still magnifying the Lord. But when the Lord places that right hand, you're gonna see that the right hand is stronger.
Yep.
And you worried about the jab? Where did that fucking hook come in, man? You got something else?
If I can find this slide.
You got something?
No.
because we were speaking about, not being able to get out that debt. So real quick, get that Deuteronomy we had earlier, because this is the main reason why, all right, we say that Esau Edom is the wicked, because when we rule, all right, when the Israelites rule, all right, this law is going to take place to where it allows a nation to pretty much, recover. All right, it allows people to get out of that debt, man. Esau's society made it to where we can't get out that no matter what we do, man.
This is Deuteronomy chapter 15 and verse 1. At the end of every 7 years, thou shalt make a release.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 2, and this is the manner of the release. Every creditor that lendeth aught unto his neighbor shall release it.
Mm-hmm.
He shall not exact it of his neighbor or of his brother, because it is called Yahweh's release.
Right, the year of Jubilee. Okay, the 7-year release. All right, so every 7 years, okay, you're supposed to forgive that debt. All right, and that will allow an individual to pretty much, restart. All right, start over and pretty much, begin to try to, collect wealth for himself, man. But Esau doesn't uphold that. All right, he just continually allows that debt to accrue and accrue and accrue to where it becomes to look. We seeing today, especially with Jake, to where our people will accrue so much debt when they die, that debt just gets passed to their children. That's wicked, man.
Oh, this one. In this article, just land back to exactly what you said. It says, since virtually nobody, individuals, companies, or sovereign states, neither have the intention or the ability to repay debt, the world now has a chronic debt slavery. So people don't even consider the fact that they're going to be paying these debts. That's why you see what's happening with the student loan debt crisis that we're in, with the credit card debt crisis, the car loans, like all of this. People are taking on debt that they have they weren't even considering paying off. Man.
Right. They just put their name on a paper and said, I won't worry about this.
Yeah, and the main ones that do that is women. Because women hold the majority of the consumer debt in America. Because, like you said, they don't think about the long term of having to pay shit off. They live in the here and now.
These all these women buying these houses, right? Because the majority of the houses that are being purchased are by single women, right? But what they don't understand is they're taking on 8, 9, 10% interest rates on a $200,000 or $300,000 loan.
Shit, not even a $400,000 loan on a fucking condominium in the hood. What the hell?
Yeah, the bitch go from Section 8 to that.
I got ownership.
But they use that as a flex though.
Right.
Like, look, I got my own house. Bitch, you're in debt.
Right.
Like, that's nothing to brag about.
It's an illusion.
Going back to the what we have bought out, the mistress of witchcraft. Because when you go into that, they go into it's a microwave society to where they're into the glamour. They want everybody to live that. When you go into the word glamour, it goes into high fashion, celebrity. So everybody wants to have a new car, a big house, all the money, social media.
Yeah, real quick to add to what you just said. This is 1 Timothy 5 and 6. It says, but she that liveth in pleasure is dead while she liveth.
Because pretty much, what this place pushes is nothing but pleasures. Ultimately to receive of the kingdom. The scripture says, set your mind on the things that's above. If you always feed into the flesh, you're essentially going to reap corruption. Roughly paraphrasing.
Right, because you're not thinking of pretty much the long-term effects of what you're doing. Okay, and to be spiritually minded, you're always looking forward. All right, because this truth teaches you how to be forward thinking. All right, looking for what's the opposite of instant gratification? Delayed gratification, man. So it's why you put in the work. Like you look at our parents, grandparents, down the line, they put in the work to be able to get things that like when you see you're in the early 50s, 60s on down. When our great grandparents got houses, they bust their ass to get it. They weren't paying no wrong mortgage rate to where that shit was gonna bite them in the ass years down the line, man. They bought and paid off them houses, man. You know, but in this time, people just get shit and just not even thinking about, yo, at some point this is going to get paid off. So,
but it's at the point where that mindset is attributed to the fact that it's impossible.
Exactly.
Like you can't make these payments that are astronomical when the cost of living crisis is occurring.
Yep.
When you're not seeing a match of inflation and income.
Yep.
Like Esau is intentionally creating a system where you are going to, as is coined by the WEF, own nothing and be happy.
It's slavery. All this is slavery, but it all goes back to this man is not utilizing the law. Because this is wickedness that's being taken place. This is why when you come to the realization of how he's done this shit, we need the law. Okay? Real quick, this is Habakkuk 1:4. Therefore the law is slack, and judgment doeth never go forth. For the wicked doeth compass about the righteous, therefore wrong judgment proceedeth. And that's exactly what we see going on, man. We need Yahweh Shem Yahushua to establish the law so that things can function perfectly. Because in the kingdom, like I said, when the Israelites are ruling, we will establish this. Now the nations they will never be on the same level as us, but we will still give them a system to where they'll be able to function properly in society, man. You know, because a kingdom, the economy flows consistently. Because when you look at currency, it's just that, it's a current. It's consistently flowing. You know, your one always goes into that, you know, with the money, water. It's like with water. All right, it's constantly flowing. All right, Esau, his shit has all type of stoppages, reroutes. You know, it's all type of bullshit. That's not congruent to life, man.
This is Proverbs chapter 16 and verse 12. It is an abomination to kings to commit wickedness, but the throne is established by righteousness. You know, so like the brothers just making mention of, man. When righteousness is established, the earth can finally flow. It can finally breathe. You know, but in the current state that we're in, it's all types of you know, it's dams and shit built up, right? So they're stopping up the flow up here, and everything down there is dying, man.
Right.
You know, they're not considering the lesser men. They're not considering the future generations. They're only concerned about themselves in the present.
Yeah, that's why you have we went into that probably about a couple months ago, where you have a lot of these Gen Zers pretty much like, yo, we don't want kids. Yep. We don't want to do things to try to, you know, help for ourselves. We just want to just be happy because this society doesn't prepare you to have a family.
It actually stands against, like you said, the natural order, the law. Scriptures tell us to be fruitful and multiply. But in this system, being fruitful and multiplying is not advantageous. This is actually a very grave situation that you find yourself in, because this system is intentionally designed to throw you into a pit to where you can't climb out of that hole. You know?
He's made everything a curse unto you, bro. This is why we need salvation. We need deliverance from this man, because at the end of the day, when the direction we see all this going is a great reset is needed, but not in the way that Esau's bringing it, though, man.
Right.
The true great reset is when your house is going to come back and set things the way it's supposed to be, man.
Because just adding to your point, Priest, we see the direction that Esau is proclaiming his NWO, but you also have the prophets that are proclaiming the NWO of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. The two are being presented to the masses of the people. Look, the Edomite NWO, nothing's going to change. It's actually going to get worse. So much so the Lord talks about in Matthew 24 and 22, how the days would have to be shortened.
I was just thinking that.
You know?
Like,
those flesh will be saved. And we see, you know, just, you know, focusing on the topic of the money system, the monetary system, we see how that's literally causing more and more people to destroy themselves. Just thinking about, like you spoke about the current, right? The currency, how things flow. People can't afford to eat right. People can't afford to live.
Bro, we was literally talking about that yesterday, bro. The reason why there's so much health problems in the world because it's that.
Yeah.
You have made eating healthy so expensive to where people just like, man, fuck it. I'm gonna just eat whatever.
Just eat whatever.
And this is why diseases are at an all-time high, which is all done by design. When you look at things like the different, cancer foundation, diabetes, all these niggas are linked in with the very food companies that help cause the diseases that they find. It's a big ass racketeering business, man.
Yep. All by design.
But the Lord's about to come and set all this shit right, though, man. So this is what we got faith in. All right, now can you get that? We have no continuing city. This is why we have faith in Yahweh Shemel Shah. Also hold Micah 2:10. We can get that Micah first, matter of fact.
This is,
I got Hebrews 13.
2 and verse 10.
God.
Micah chapter 2 verse 10. Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest.
Yeah, this is not our rest, Jake. When will you understand it? All right. The more and more that you try to make yourself forward in the society, you see that it bites you in the ass because this is not our rest, man. We will finally be able to forward ourselves in the kingdom of heaven, but that's not here.
Because it is polluted,
Mm-hmm.
it shall destroy you even with the sword of destruction.
Right. It will destroy you and pollute you mentally, physically, and most important, spiritually. All right. So the best thing that you can do for yourself is to take your mind out of here.
Right.
All right.
If I could add, it also destroys our people emotionally and financially.
Everything. It's destruction on every level you can think of. There's not one positive thing you can say about Babylon, man.
Nope.
Not one. I dare you.
Nope. But that's the issue with our people is that they don't see that that's a problem that's prominent in our community for a reason.
Jake, I can't complain. Shit.
And it is a lot to complain about.
Yeah, go ahead with that Hebrews out. We'll end with that when somebody else has time.
Con, this is Ibaria Hebrews chapter 13 and verse 14. It says, for here we have no continuing city, but we seek one to come.
Right, and that city that we're seeking to come is the kingdom of heaven, man. Where righteousness will be established. Matter of fact, look at Revelation 21. Righteousness will be established to where we'll be able, not only us, but all the nations will be able to live in peace.
Yeah.
Okay? Because even though they're going to be subjugated under the Israelites, they're still going to be able to enjoy the earth.
Right. They subject to Esau at this point.
Hey,
You see how that shit going.
under a righteous king, everybody eats. It ain't the same portion as the king, but you're going to eat, and it's going to be quality food.
It's better than starving.
Esau be like, here you go, nigga. You can throw some rations at you.
Yeah, nah, bro.
Lazarus.
You gonna have food too. It just ain't gonna be as as luxurious as we got. But you gonna eat a real fucking animal. Not no goddamn shit that's been dead for a couple of days. Now you eat a mice, you will eat that.
Right.
All right, but we ain't eating that. You might eat that for the first 1,000 years. All right, but it's still gonna be real food.
Right.
It's not gonna be no fucking GMO in the kingdom.
Lab grown.
Yeah, I wish you would. I'm gonna clone a cow, nigga. You gonna die.
3D printed,
that, bro.
Throw that nigga into another fucking planet.
He getting thrown into a whole new solar system. Just matter of fact, you said that you want to see the inside of a black hole? First class ticket, nigga.
I got right on.
Go ahead, Doc.
It's Psalm 72, and starting in verse 1. Give the king thy judgments, O Most High, and thy righteousness unto the king's son. He shall judge thy people with righteousness, and thy poor with judgment. The mountains shall bring peace to the people, and thy little hills by righteousness. So this is all talking about the establishment of the kingdom, right? Yahweh Shai is going to bring that righteousness. He's going to bring that true judgment to the earth. It says the mountains shall bring peace, which means the government of Israel is going to establish peace in the earth, man.
That's right.
It says where Esau was given the go ahead to take peace from the earth, right? It says he shall break the poor of the. He shall judge the poor of the people He shall save the children of the needy, and shall break in pieces the oppressor. So what we're seeing is that oppressor being broken down, right? Starting with Esau, Edom, and the poor being you Israelites, man. It says, they shall fear thee as long as the sun and moon endure throughout all generations. He shall come down like rain upon the mown grass, as showers that water the earth. The point in verse 7. In his days shall the righteous flourish, in abundance of peace so long as the moon endureth. So this is what Yahweh Shai is coming to establish, man. Righteousness and an abundance of peace. You know, as long as the moon endureth. So forever, eternity. That's why you see Esau trying to shoot rockets at the moon, right? They're trying to blow up the sun, to block out the sun, all that, because of prophecies like this, man.
Right. You're gonna lose, dog. It's a losing battle for you, man.
Right.
You know. Somebody have that revelation?
Revelation 21.
Yeah, we're down to verse 4. Come.
So Revelation 21:1. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea.
Right, so that new heaven and new earth going into the new rulership that's going to be established once the Israelites, all right, come down off those ships with the new bodies, man. All right, and that first heaven and the first earth that will pass away, all right, with Esau, Edom, and his rulership, man. Okay, because once Babylon is taken down by that nuclear fire, like I said, the elect come down off their ships. First order of business is going around, all right, rounding up all the nobles, okay, putting them in chains, all right, and the beginning of the building up of the kingdom of heaven, man. Okay.
Verse 2. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from the Most High out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband.
Which is what I just said about the elect coming out that chariot with those new bodies, man. Go ahead.
And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, behold, the tabernacle of the Most High is with men.
That's right.
And he will dwell within them, and they shall be his people, and the Most High himself shall be with them and be their power.
Right, because in that moment, all right, we will once again be at one with our power. All right, and just as when you read the law, all right, when we do right by the Lord, He'll do right by us, man. So in that day, when we're made perfect, we're gonna be unstoppable. We're gonna be like when you watch that show Invincible, the Bilchamites. That's gonna be Israel, man. Okay, coming to truly colonize, all right, the world. Okay.
Verse 4. And the Most High shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away.
Right, because Israel, all right, we will finally be at rest, man. The curses will be off of us and onto our enemies, like it says Deuteronomy, was that 31:7, or 32:7, 1 and 2, 32:7. All right, so we're gonna be made perfect. All right. We're never going to sin. We're never going to die. We're never going to be sick. All right. We're never going to have anything wrong with us. We're going to be completely perfect. Okay. And so we will establish a perfect world for Israel. And by the byproduct of Israel's perfect world, all the nations will benefit from that, man. Okay. Because we will establish the law, like it says in Micah 4 and Isaiah 2. All right. And in doing so, all the nations will be subjugated under that law, and the world will flourish like it used to, man, back before the flood. So when you look up that documentary on Amazon Prime called I think it's called The Days of Noah, and they'll tell you how the earth was pretty much everything was bigger and everything flourished before the flood, because that was really before sin began to really expound on the earth. That's the way it's going back, man. All right.
I want to correct myself. It was Deuteronomy 37.
37, it's like, you know, but yeah. So that's what we're looking forward to. That's the city that we're waiting to get on, man. So the hell with trying to be rich here. We're gonna have our riches in the kingdom, all right? You know, matter of fact, finish it off. Go back to that James 5 and read down to verse 5. We'll end with that. That's gonna go into pretty much what we just said. So start back at I think at verse 3 and just read down to 5.
God, this is James chapter 5 and verse 3. It says, your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. Ye have heaped treasure together for the last days. Behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is kept of you, which is of you kept back by fraud, crieth, and the cries of them which have reaped are entered into the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth.
Right. So all the labor that we've done for this devil throughout the years, okay, that's all gonna, come to fruition when Yahushua returns, who was the Lord of the Sabaoth, the Lord of armies, to come back and redeem his people out the hands of the devil, man, these Edomites, man. All right. So all these riches that the Lord has allowed you to accumulate to these last days, you're gonna cough them up. All right. As well as you other nations as well, but specifically talking about you Edomites, man. Because I believe that's in Isaiah 60, where it talks about how our gates are going to open continually and you nations are going to be bringing the best of the best that you have unto us, all the time. That's what we're looking forward to happening, man, because to be honest, everything in this world belongs to us anyway. We read 2nd Ezra, the 6th chapter, man. All things in the earth belong to Israel anyways, man. That's our true inheritance, man. All right, that's the birthright that we were given through our forefather Abraham, through Isaac, through Jacob, man. Okay? So you Israelites out here, man, you just have to continue just to wait on the Lord, man, and all the things that you desire will be given to you, but it all comes with you enduring the hell that we have to face here, man. Romans 8 tells you that the suffering of the present time isn't to be compared with the things to come, man. What's being poured on this side compared to us being literally gods with all the substance that you possibly want in the world, man? I'll wait for that. Fuck this shit, man. Nigga want to party with Diddy versus trying to wait, for the kingdom, man. Y'all niggas can have that shit, man. But that's all I had. I wish I had something else.
You want me to go to verse 5?
Oh, Slocky, yeah, go to 5.
James 5:5. It says, "Ye have lived in pleasure on the earth and been wanton. Ye have nourished your hearts as in a day of slaughter."
Right. So meaning that you elites have lived up until this point. But guess what? Y'all gonna lose that. This is this whole story that we're seeing is the ultimate rags the richest story for Jake, but riches to rags story for Esau. When you go into the parable of Lazarus, that's exactly what's taking place, man. The elites are gonna go from on top to the bottom. We're gonna go from the bottom to the top, man. It's a literally a real life version of Trading Places, man. A good example, if you Jakes want to picture this, it's a movie called White Man's Burden. I believe it's still on YouTube. But in that movie White Man's Burden, it literally shows the roles reversed. You got Jake living in the rich position, and you got Edomites living in the poor position. They in the hood and everything. That's what we got to look forward to, man. Instead, there ain't gonna be no ghettos for Esau. Esau is living in pits, man. But that's all I had though. So hey, if anybody has nothing else with that, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. All right, with that, we want to give all honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'Shem, Yahushua, Ba'Shem, double honors to our apostles and elders of great millstone, who are the true teachers of the nation of Israel, and peace and citation to the elect that's out here laboring truth and sincerity to you. We say shalom.
Shalom. Shalom. Shalom.